خلي بالك لو اي حاجه دي من النشره.
Sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, exactly 1 p.m. in Cairo. Time to look at the news bulletin, and we start right away with the headlines. Hello, Mahisti.
Hello, Hanan, and we'll start with a look at the headlines.
Presidents El-Sisi and Erdogan to hold talks in Cairo over bilateral ties and the regional updates. 18 Palestinians killed in Israeli air attacks in Gaza, Khan Yunis, days after Rafah crossing reopened. Ukraine, Russia and U.S. negotiators gather in Abu Dhabi for second round of peace talks.
Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Wednesday welcomes Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan at El Ittihadiyya Presidential Palace. Erdogan has arrived in Cairo on a visit that aims to strengthen bilateral ties, discuss key regional issues. Presidents El-Sisi and Erdogan will hold formal talks. El-Sisi and Erdogan will also co-chair the second high-level Strategic Operation Council meeting between Egypt and Turkey. Later, they will participate in the closing session of the Egyptian-Turkish Business Forum that will be held with the business community and financial and economic institutions from the two countries.
Well, to shed more light on that important states visit, we have on the phone His Excellency Ambassador Mohammed Higazi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Your Excellency, great pleasure having you with us.
My pleasure, Maestro.
Yeah, well, the such important states visit by the president, by the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan at that significant and delicate time to Egypt. How you define the importance of the timing of the visit now and the importance of it?
The visit comes, as you said, in a very tense and turmoil time where the whole Middle East is facing tension in relations to the ongoing Israeli violence in Gaza and disrespect of the ceasefire agreement and the implementation of the second phase, as well as the increasing tension between Iran and the United States, where a huge military presence makes the whole region under a lot of pressure. Hopefully, the dialogue that will take place today in Cairo between President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi will help moving ahead in regards to the second phase of the Gaza peace agreement, being both mediator into this agreement which was signed in Sharm el-Sheikh in the presence of many world leaders head by President Trump, and that make the two countries in a way very concerned about the growing Israeli violence. Day before yesterday, they committed the crime of killing 33 Palestinians living in camps, and if they have a pretext to face Hamas, they are in a peace deal, but it seems that they want to impose reality and facts. So the visit of President Erdogan is, I think, to me, is of 3 or 4 folds. One, regarding the Palestinian situation, being it in Gaza, or also the settlers' crime activities in the West Bank. Second, is related definitely to the situation between the United States and Iran and their joint effort to de-escalate the tension through many interventions made by President Sisi and President Erdogan, and Turkey is claiming to have a negotiating deal that they want to propose to the parties, and this is the second chapter of this very important visit. The third, I think, will be concerned the Sudan and Libya and the situation in Red Sea security and the situation related also to the Horn of Africa and the instability in Somalia caused by the Israeli recognition of a separate entity in Somalia.
Yeah.
The fourth will be definitely the ongoing bilateral relations and the important increase in different mechanisms like business councils or the mutual Chamber of Commerce meetings, as well as the increase of the Turkish trade level and investments.
Yeah, of course, next to enhancing the bilateral ties between the two countries, there are so many files, and as you mentioned, Your Excellency, of course, the Palestinian cause, first of all, and the developments over there in the Gaza Strip after reopening of the Rafah crossing border. Number two, of course, is de-escalating or de-escalation of the expansion of the so-called war between the U.S. and Iran. In a very important interview for the Iranian Foreign Minister Arghachi in CNN, he mentioned that his fear of the miscalculation of the U.S. What he meant by the miscalculation and disinformation, your point of view?
Yeah, of course. The whole region is faced by the Israeli propaganda and disinformation, which make the United States believe that tomorrow Iran will have a nuclear bomb. It is not true. Iran has committed itself to a civilian program. We all know that. If the Israeli wants to fight Iran, they could have done that long back, but they want to involve the United States in such a big fight, which will definitely render us all in trouble. It's a tiny country that caused trouble everywhere in Lebanon, in Palestine, in Syria, and with Turkey as well. So I think time has come that the United States, having all those strategic partners in the region, Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, that come and practice international relations and politics directly with the partners of the region and stop listening to the Israelis.
Yep, Your Excellency, Ambassador Mohammed Higazi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, many thanks for your insights and for your views.
And continuing Panorama News, where Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ghati and Mr. Jonathan Powell, British National Security Advisor, exchanging views regarding regional issues over a phone call on Wednesday. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ambassador Tamim Khalaf said that the call tackled the recent developments in Iran, as Foreign Minister Abdel Ghati stressed the need for de-escalation to avoid all types of conflict and instability. The Foreign Minister urged conditions supportive of the resumption of the U.S.-Iran dialogue, leading to a comprehensive peace settlement. The call also tackled the latest development in Palestine, stressing the international community's responsibility to ensure the implementation of the second phase of U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan. This paves the way for the early recovery and reconstruction of Gaza and ensures unhindered humanitarian aid flow. The call also reviewed Sudan's situation, emphasizing Egypt's stance supporting Sudan's sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity.
Well, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Badr Abdel Ghati received a phone call from Mr. Antonio Tajani, Italian's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, at Tuesday evening. The call tackled ways to strengthen bilateral relations between the two friendly countries and the latest developments regarding the Iranian nuclear issue. Abdel Ghati praised the distinguished relations between the two friendly countries during the call, emphasizing the commitment to enhancing all aspects of bilateral relations and elevating them to broader horizons. He also expressed his willingness to continue boosting economic and investment relations with Italy and to further trade exchange between the two countries, in addition to strengthening cooperation in the field of renewable energy. The two ministers also exchanged views on the accelerating developments related to Iran. The minister stressed the priority that Egypt gives to de-escalation by strengthening the political and diplomatic paths.
Israeli tank shelling and airstrikes killed at least 18 people, including 4 children, in the Palestinian territory of Gaza Strip on Wednesday.
Well, the Israeli attacks targeted Gaza City and the southern city of Khan Yunis and come in fresh violations of a ceasefire that began in October.
Gaza Civil Defense Agency said a series of Israeli air attacks on Wednesday killed 12 people in the Palestinian territory, including 3 children, and left 30 others wounded. The latest bloodshed came despite a U.S. brokered truce entering its second phase last month. It also comes days after the Israeli-controlled Palestinian side of Rafah crossing with Egypt reopened, allowing tens of wounded Palestinians to receive treatment abroad. Farah crossing is the only exit for Gazan that does not pass through Israel. Under the second phase, initial work of prepare for a reconstruction of Gaza Strip should begin nearly after 2 years of Israeli aggressions and blockade that turned most of the Palestinians' enclave into ghost cities. 3 bodies were brought to Nasser Hospital after Israeli air attacks hit tents and homes in the southern Khan Yunis governorate. 6 more bodies were taken to Al-Shifa Hospital following similar attacks in Gaza City, the territory's largest urban center. The Israeli military admitted it had conducted airstrikes allegedly after gunmen opened fire on its troops, seriously wounding an officer. It said the troops came under attack near the so-called Yellow Line, beyond which Israel forces are stationed in Gaza. The ceasefire has been repeatedly marred by bloodshed, with at least 523 Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks since it took effect on October 10th. Saturday was among the deadliest days, with the Civil Defense Agency reporting at least 32 people killed in Israeli attacks.
For a third day, Gaza's Rafah border crossing was open on Wednesday for the Palestinians wishing return from Egypt to the Palestinian enclave under an October ceasefire deal. A third batch of returnees have arrived at the Egyptian side of the crossing, waiting for enter for Gaza through the Rafah gate after its reopening on Monday for the first time in almost a year. On the Palestinian side, Palestinian officials said Israel halted the passage of the patients through the Rafah border crossing. About 20,000 Palestinians are in need of medical care that is unavailable in Gaza after 2 years of Israeli war. A bus with about 40 Palestinians that entered Gaza via Rafah on Tuesday arrived at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis early Wednesday morning, where their families welcomed them after spending the entire day waiting. Though hailed as a step forward for the fragile ceasefire struck in October, it took more than 10 hours for only about a dozen returnees and a small group of medical evacuees to cross in each direction on the first day Rafah reopened.
On the other side, and in the occupied West Bank, Israeli occupation forces on Wednesday detained 19 Palestinians, including formerly freed prisoners of war and children. Palestinian health officials said Tuesday that Israeli forces shot dead a Palestinian man and wounded 3 others in the city of Jericho during clashes with the occupation forces that stormed the city. Meanwhile, a woman was injured after being run over by a vehicle by the Israeli forces. The Palestinian Red Cross confirmed that the 2 young men were also injured after being beaten by the forces in Jericho.
A regional diplomat said nuclear talks between the United States and Iran are expected to take place in Oman on Friday as the U.S. build-up raises fresh war concerns in the region.
Well, meanwhile, the U.S. military said it shot down an Iranian drone that aggressively approached the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carried in the Arabian Sea.
A regional source said that Iran is demanding that talks with the U.S. in this week be held in Oman, not Turkey, and that the scope he narrowed to two-way negotiation on nuclear issues only, adding new complications to an already delicate diplomatic effort. Iran's move to change the venue and agenda for the talks scheduled for Friday in Istanbul came amid high tensions as the U.S. built up forces in the Middle East. Regional players have pushed for resolution for a standoff that has led to mutual threats of airstrikes and stirred fear of escalation into a wider war. The U.S. military on Tuesday shot down an Iranian drone that aggressively approached the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea, the U.S. military said. President Donald Trump, who warned on Monday that bad things would probably happen if a deal could not be reached with Iran, told reporters at the White House on Tuesday that negotiations with Iran are ongoing right now. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that talks with Iran were still scheduled to take place later this week. Another source familiar with the situation said that Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, was due to take part in the talks, along with the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. In June, the United States struck Iranian nuclear target, joining in at the close of a 12-day Israeli bombing campaign. Since then, Tehran has said its uranium-enriched work, which it says is for peace, not military purposes, has stopped.
Iraq's main candidate for the premiership, Nouri al-Maliki, said that withdrawing his candidacy would jeopardize Iraqi sovereignty following the U.S. threats. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump issued an ultimatum declaring Maliki a very bad choice, and if he was elected, the U.S. will no longer help Iraq. In an interview, Maliki was asked whether he would withdraw if his candidacy posed a threat to Iraq's interests. He replied that he would withdraw only if his bloc asked him to do. After Trump's threats, the coordination framework, which holds a parliamentary majority, reiterated its support for Maliki.
All negotiators from Ukraine, Russia and United States gathered in Abu Dhabi on Wednesday, seeking to end the four-year war.
Meanwhile, the Russian and Ukrainian drone strikes have killed 4 people in East Ukraine, according to the officials on both sides.
A local official announced Wednesday that 2 people were killed by Russian drone strike on Ukraine, Dnipropetrovsk region. He said a 60-year-old woman and a 30-year-old man were killed in the attack. Meanwhile, a Ukrainian delegation arrived in the United Arab Emirates on Wednesday with the aim of beginning fresh U.S.-brokered peace talks with Russia's side in Abu Dhabi, seeking to end the 4-year war. Ukraine's delegation will be headed by Security Council Chief Rustem Umerov, a shrewd negotiator known as a worker of the diplomatic wonders, while Russia's top negotiator will be its military intelligence director, Igor Kostikov. Earlier, several rounds of diplomacy between the sides have failed to strike a deal on ending Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II, which began when Russia invaded in February 2022. A massive Russian drone and a missile barrage preceded the peace talk, pounding Ukraine's energy grid and knocking out power and heating in temperatures far below freezing. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia doesn't take diplomacy seriously. The main sticking point is the long-term fate territory in eastern Ukraine, while Moscow demands that Kiev pulls its troops out of the Donbas region as a precondition of any deal and seeks an international recognition of its authority in the region. Ukraine rejected a unilateral pullback of forces.
Well, the UN Security Council strongly condemned the latest surge in militant attacks in southwestern Pakistan that has killed dozens of people, mostly civilians, as security forces on Wednesday pressed their operations in the insurgency-hit region.
The authorities said that scores of militants have been killed in recent days as Pakistani forces crackdown on the insurgents in the volatile Balochistan province.
Pakistan's security forces have killed almost 200 separatist insurgents in southwestern Balochistan province since Saturday's wave of coordinated attacks launched by the separatists, taking over death toll past 250. A security official made the statement Wednesday. Fighting has continued between government forces and the militants following the separatist attacks, with sporadic clashes still taking place in some districts after gunmen stormed banks, jail, police station and military installations. Pakistan has been battling a Baloch separatist insurgency for decades, with frequent armed attacks on security forces, foreign nationals and non-local Pakistanis in the mineral-rich province bordering Afghanistan and Iran. A senior official said on Wednesday that 197 terrorists have been killed in the ongoing counter-terrorism operations. He added that at least 36 civilians and 22 security personnel were killed during the coordinated attacks in Restiv, Balochistan. The chief minister of Balochistan told a news conference in the provincial capital Quetta on Sunday that all districts under attack were cleared. The Baloch Liberation Army claimed responsibility for the attacks. The group, which the United States have designated a terrorist organization, said that it had targeted military installations as well as police and civil administration officials in gun attacks and suicide bombings.
Well, the U.S. Coast Guard said that 15 migrants died in the Aegean Sea of Greece on Tuesday after their boat collided with a Coast Guard vessel of the island of Chios. A Coast Guard official said that spotted a dinghy transporting migrants towards Chios, which lies a few miles off the coast of Turkey, and ordered them to turn back, adding that the smugglers maneuvered toward the Coast Guard vessel, causing a collision. Witnesses reported that about 30 to 35 people were on board, and a government official said that 2 Coast Guard officers were injured and transferred to hospital, according to another official. The Coast Guard said that 25 migrants were risked, but one of them, and a woman, later died. A search and rescue operation was ongoing. Meanwhile, neither the nationality of the migrants nor the cause of the collision is known.
Back home, the Supreme Constitutional Court holds a press conference on Thursday to announce details over the holiday of the holding of the African Constitutional High Court's Constitutional Council in Cairo. A statement said the meeting will be held on Saturday and Sunday at the new capital.